have no idea.
Yeah.
So, do you ever feel like the pressure of like, because people see you as this beauty queen and you have that title and everything, do you ever feel the pressure of like you need to prove that you're not just beauty, but you have brains as well?
Yeah.
As much as, you've done like, you have all these papers and everything, because I think like a lot of models do have that stereotype where
Oh, completely.
people are looking at them like,
Wow.
she's just beautiful. She can't be like, she can't be smart or,
Yeah. So, okay, this leads me back to another funny story. But I don't know what happened, but in high school there was like some random, when Facebook was really big, and someone made a group page called like Most Beautiful Teens Nairobi
Yeah.
or whatever. And I remember some guy that I think had a crush on me posted my photo on that page to be like, oh, like I nominate her for like Most Beautiful Teen Nairobi.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the first time I got like a lot of likes on like a photo. Like at that point I was like maybe getting like 200-300 likes for a photo, and I got like 1,600 or something.
Yeah.
And so you actually got nominated as this title, and somehow all the schools were enrolled in it, and everyone was posting each other. And I remember for like a long time afterwards, like I would meet people and they were just like, oh hey, you're that Miss Beautiful Teens chick. And I was like, oh my god, wow, like that was like the first time I was like, people are recognizing me for the way I look. But it's really ironic because I don't think I'm bad looking, but it's kind of like I don't think I'm the most good looking either. So actually I'm pretty insecure.
Come on, you got a title. You got a title
I know.
for how you actually look. What do you mean?
But even then, so I'm just like, and that's the thing, right? I feel like beauty can change. And especially so like with Miss India Kenya, right? Right before we started filming,
Yeah.
I was mentioning how like we would do like 4 hours of rehearsal a day at a minimum, but then on top of that I would make sure I was going to the gym like at least 2 hours, and the physical shape that I was in then compared to now was very, very different. So it's intimidating for me to change my body type. So I've put on weight and I don't really care. So I'm actually happy about that because I'm eating more, I'm more intuitive.
I mean, I wish you people just go to her Instagram and then just hear what she's talking about, and then, we can start that debate maybe later on.
Yeah, no, but so there is a pressure because it's like, oh, I have to, I've set myself at such a benchmark, especially when it comes to, I'd say a little bit of like the fitness industry. It's like, people listen to you. Like you're not, it's really mean to say, but like also like if you're going to a gym and if you're trying to pick a gym trainer, you're not going to pick the person who can't run on a treadmill. You're going to pick the person who's absolutely killing it in the gym, right?
Yeah.
So even like when it comes to like fitness influencing or talking about health, right? There's still a certain image attached to it that you have to maintain and keep up. And I've just been finding it, like I said, really difficult because now in university I had more time. Even in high school it was quite demanding for me, but even then, still more reasonable with time. But now with work life, it's all about trying to find that balance and really prioritizing like health and fitness. And I'm just trying to not let the outside noise put that
just
extra
get in
pressure.
your head a bit too much.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to do what makes me feel good. And that includes intuitive eating, and that's something I've been really big about.
What's that? What does that word mean?
So intuitive is just
I'm not very big on big words.
So, well, speaking of big words, I'm what you call a logophile. So I like
What the hell is that?
a logophile is a lover of words. So I'm really big on like vocabulary. So fun fact, I learn vocabulary in my free time. But yeah, so intuitive is sort of like really like listening to your inner dialogue. And so especially with the world today, a lot of times intuitive eating can also become its own monster, where people are like, oh, you only eat till you're like 80% full, and then you stop eating. But then also it's like, well, if I really, really want to just eat till I'm full, I want to eat. So it's just really listening to your body. And with intuitive eating, one thing that's so important that I feel girls should definitely hear is you are allowed to take up enough space in the world. Like for a lot of young girls, they feel like, there's a certain beauty image in society, and they should definitely know that, you know, everyone's different, and it's an industry, yes, it's a business, right? But it
Yeah.
shouldn't affect you and your worth and your value. And if, you know, you are happy and you're healthy and you're a couple of extra kilos more, embrace it, like rock it.
Look who's talking, man.
Yeah, no, so I've actually gone on
Yeah.
a weight gain recently.
Yeah.
And rather than it freaking me out, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna embrace it. Like, I'm, you know, moving from being a teenager with a more lanky teenager figure into being more womanly. And I'm like, you know, it's not a bad thing. And the one concern there for me is because, again, I'm very big on fitness. I don't really care about the weight gain. In fact, I'm happy. I'm more concerned about the fat gain. So
Yeah.
especially,
So pretty much toning, I
Yeah.
guess, is what you would go for.
and I think that's the beauty about now the weightlifting industry, especially for women, is women are encouraged to gain weight. It's like, oh, you know, like you're seeing all these people, like influencers online, on YouTube, Instagram, being like, oh, you know, I'm going in a bulk, and, you know, I'm trying to put on like 2-3 kilos, and they're eating really well. They're training even harder, and yeah, like the weight gain is actually encouraged in now this fitness industry, which I think is so good.
Yeah, I mean, fitness never used to be cool until like now on Instagram. Like I see so many women in the gym to a point like I'm like, yo, I really need to start working out, because otherwise like I'd be hideous out here. Everybody else just seems to be taking fitness like a little bit to
Very
the extra.
serious.
Yeah, very seriously.
Oh yeah, and in fact, so I mean, it's always so difficult when you get absorbed into these industries. So
Yeah.
even with fitness, it's at a point it was very much like obsessed with having abs and like being as lean as possible.
Yeah, they're on Instagram.
yeah.
We've seen you.
And but even then, so it's so interesting. Again, speaking of like body dysmorphia, like
What the hell is that?
so
Listen,
body.
the only word that I learned over the past month, I think it's expeditiously, and that's from people who like are into hip hop. They will understand where that comes from.
But yeah, so body dysmorphia is a thing that, first of all, it can be diagnosed as a mental
but-
illness.
What? But
Yeah.
what is it, first of all?
So it's when, and you find with a lot of girls and even guys now, guys have something called bigorexia. But anyway, answering the first question, body
My God.
dysmorphia is like
Yeah.
you're not able to accurately see your body for what it is. So like, you know, you might.
Appreciate
So yeah.
self-love, or kind of just
But it's actually like you look in the mirror and you don't feel like you look a certain way. So like you'll find people who struggle with eating disorders, for example, think constantly that they're too big, but
Okay.
you know, when you look at them, they're they look really malnourished and really sick, whereas they might feel they look severely overweight. And guys as well now have something called bigorexia. So as much as it affects women, I think now, again,
Which
with the
is what
fitness
that-
industry for men, like it says big, and rexia, I think, is kind of what they attach to like eating disorders. But guys that go to the gym, sometimes like they don't think they're big enough. And
or they just keep being on those proteins and
yeah,
everything, and they just want to
feel
bulk.
like they need to be big and big and big. And guys are obsessed with being big now. Is like, especially like if you get into like the fitness industry, I really see like guys are just really focused on looking as big as possible. And no, like you're laughing, but I actually saw this on the internet the other day, and I was like, what? Men now in certain countries are injecting themselves with oil.
No, I've seen
It's
with the
crazy.
crazy abs. I think
Yeah,
there's
like
some
they-
Russian guy who has like this.
Yeah, they
Remember
don't-
that cartoon Popeye?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody
right?
who looks like that.
And
It's just
so-
like, that's insane.
And can you imagine, like, like people are risking their life, and like, you know, they're not even working out, but they have this mentality where I need to be big and muscular, and you admit, like, it's not even like a slight top up of the muscles, like it's actually
it's just like a
deforming.
big thing
And
just
you can,
on your arms.
like, I think someone passed away recently from it, which is why this has become like a much bigger controversy in the world right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's crazy how literally like some people, like even men now, are suffering from this like distorted self-view and self-image. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
crazy.
For me, I think I'd just go with like if I just get abs, which I normally see them from a distance, and I just know if I just work out for like just 3 months, I can get them.
Yeah.
But I'm just too lazy. But I think just with that, but like you said, it's like all mental.
Yeah.
And I think, do you think maybe it's social media?
Definitely.
Social media.
Definitely, and that's
Yeah.
the thing, like social media as well has highlighted and glorified people with certain aesthetic values.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, actually, I have completely moved away from social media, especially like Instagram. Like, it's probably like my favorite platform. I don't really use Twitter or Facebook,
Yeah.
but at least when it comes to Instagram, like it's very like I would say use it the most. But even then, I've completely cut down on my browsing time. And I do notice that the days when I'm feeling a little bit insecure or a little bit like down in my mood and I scroll through Instagram, it really, really affects me.
What do you feel insecure about?
Well, I mean,
Just
obviously,
wait. Just hold that thought. I would want to know, like, what would you possibly be insecure about?
well, I mean, there's just always you can pick on a million things, right? So I mean, like, I feel like I'm very square in my shape. Like I have a chubby face. Like it's silly little things that, like, you know, other people like, so it's just you, but you gotta realize like everyone does have their insecurities.
Somebody would be very upset when they hear you saying that, because they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
She's saying that, yet I'm here just knowing that, you know, my whole situation is completely different.
Yeah, no, but and that's the thing, right? You just gotta embrace what your mama gave you, and just be as happy as possible with what you have. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel social media, like, it's sad because there's so many young girls who really look up to people who are look a certain way, or who are
Or even
you
maybe
know.
getting surgery to that
Yeah,
matter.
exactly, like
and
all
you're
these-
trying to look like that.
like
not-
the Kardashians, right? I
yeah,
mean,
come on, they're
as
just
much
too. Let's just. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and so I'm reading an interesting book. So I'm also a big bookworm.
what about the Kardashians before we go to the book?
Well, so that's the thing that I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
So with the Kardashians, right? Plastic surgery nowadays is a way for people to upgrade already the rich and beautiful even into more rich and beautiful, right? And plastic surgery first was created in World War II as a way for individuals who had, you know, gone through the battlefields
Oh,
and had
yeah,
had,
and
like
they actually
reconstructive
need-
face surgery,
yeah,
for
yeah.
example. But then, so it's always the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
True.
So that's the thing. So now with people who you know, first who had actual deformities to reconstruct their face, now it's just been used as a way to upgrade people, right? And now there's a whole controversy with like designer babies and how, you know, scientists are now finding genes that can switch off like diseases like Alzheimer's, dementia. But what they're realizing is, oh, now we can play around with human genes. So now, like, what's stopping us from like making our kid tall and smart and more
Oh,
beautiful, you know?
true.
So anyway, that's a whole other tangent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
just what popped up in my head. So you did mention like the stereotype with models.
Yeah.
So yeah, in high school from this Miss India Kenya, no, not Miss India Kenya, but the most beautiful teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, people. I actually met a few people, and they like looked at me, and within like 5 minutes of meeting me, they're like, "Oh, you're actually really smart. We thought you were dumb." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, I guess it fits the stereotype, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I definitely do get people being like, "Oh, I thought you were like shallow or not smart," and I'm like, well, I
mean,
I hope
'cause
to disprove that.
I know some models who are,
Yeah.
they represent that stereotype
I
quite
mean,
well.
Some people can ride off their physical appearance, but that's
Yeah.
the thing. I feel like beauty is only skin deep, and it's like if you can't talk to a person, what's the point of them looking good, you know?
Yeah.
You're not going to hang them up in your house. You're going to want to have a connection with them and be able to talk to them. And So I think who you are as a person is more important than the way you look.
And it's not like a long-term thing that you can bank on if you keep growing up. Like you've said, you've just started working and everything. Like in a work environment.
Oh, your body changes.
Yeah. Or even like, let's just say if you're going to like negotiate deals, endorsements and everything.
Yeah.
Like just now that's where your brain starts working and everything.
Yeah. And as much as it, so that's the thing. Like you really, and even when it comes to appearances, I feel like confidence is so underrated, right? Because like if you have someone who's good looking but they don't know how to carry themselves, then, they're not probably as attractive as someone who's more charismatic,
confident and everything.
right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the paradox of like the chicken and the egg, where you'll get people who are attractive and they're confident because they're attractive, because they've been they've been reaffirmed, right?
True.
So they've been encouraged and sort of coodled into being confident because they look a certain way,
Yeah.
right? Whereas then that's why you'll find people who aren't as confident because they weren't like encouraged when they were younger. So I feel like, when it comes to self-development and self-growth, like just the way you carry yourself, the way like if you wear something, you rock it, you own it, immediately you're like 100 times more attractive.
Where do you think you fall in that category?
So, fun fact, I actually have really bad social anxiety.
What?
Yeah, so that's
What
the
do you
thing.
mean?
Yeah, no, so people don't know that, and I'm actually very, 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 very social. So I'm like pretty much 100% an extrovert. Like my free time is just spent with people.
Yeah.
I get very uncomfortable on my own, which is actually something that I'm trying to work on because, you should be comfortable in your own.
Explain that to me. The social anxiety and just being, trying to.
So that's the thing. I grew up a lot of being sort of in the socialite or the limelight.
Oh yeah.
And then with the Miss, Most Beautiful Teens contest, and I never really had a solid friend group. And so that's the thing, and I sort of was very all over the place. So I had lots of friends and lots of different groups, but that's the thing, like I had friends, but they weren't
like
friends.
just because it's
Like-
just superficial conversations
Yeah,
about like,
people
hey, you
who
look
I'd
good,
hang
we
out
like your
with.
show.
Yeah, or like I would just go out to parties with different people, or just like go hang out with like different groups, and so I never really felt like I belonged
proper connection.
to anyone, and I only feel like it was in university. So minus like the few people who I grew up with, like Radhika being one of them, who actually brought us here to this podcast.
Shout outs to Radhika.
Yeah, so minus Radhika,
Yeah.
I didn't really have like too many like people who I really felt were like friends who had my back. And it's interesting. So it actually like, I don't know, I had very interesting social anxiety because I felt like I needed to project myself in a certain image or, look a certain way again. The whole like image thing comes into play. So yeah, it's social anxiety.
Social anxiety. I mean, that's wow.
So then when it came to confidence, right, I kid you
Yeah.
not, whenever I'd be going out to places, and if it was like a big group, I would actually cry before I would go to a thing.
What?
Just from the stress and
Wait,
anxiety.
come on.
But
Wait.
then- Yeah.
What?
But then I would go there, and I literally learned confidence by faking it till you make it, sort of thing.
So wait, you could cry before you go to that social setting?
Yeah, and then I would.
For no reason at all?
It was just being around people and like feeling like I didn't fit in, right? I always struggled with not fitting in, and yeah, just sort of feeling like I had to really like be the social, dynamic, bubbly person when I just was having an off day, and it was just this pressure of, oh my god, I need to be there, I need to be a certain way, I need to act a certain way.
Do people know this about you?
No, so like insights into Shivani.
Yeah, but that's the thing. At times, when somebody maybe they see you and they have a very different interpretation, they wouldn't know exactly what's going on
Yeah.
with you as much as like you're smiling, you're happy.
Yeah.
You have like your own little battles that you're going through.
Oh, everyone does. If you think that anyone has it easy in life, trust me, they do not.
Yeah.
So it's just realizing that everyone's going through their own thing. And yes, sure, your things might be more serious than others, but even then, it doesn't disregard that people do have struggles. So just on that note, like one little life tip or thing that I remember hearing that really struck a chord with me is, people usually say like, oh, you shouldn't feel sad because, other people out there have it worse. It's like, all right, fair, I acknowledge it. Like, there might be some people who are really struggling. They might not have a roof over their head. They might not know when they're getting their next meal. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it is a really big struggle. But then at the same time as well, you can't say that, oh, you can't be happy because someone else is happier than you out there, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, like,
Yeah, we can't pick and choose such things.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like, so some days if you're, not feeling, if you're going through your own difficulties in life, it's perfectly reasonable to feel the way you're feeling. You shouldn't be victimized by it, but you should just, allow yourself to feel the way you're feeling. So, yeah, just a little life.
Have you overcome that?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I feel like I just sort of, again,
And how did you do it?
Again, fake it till you make it. So so I'm used to, like, again, with the whole NTV thing, right? I would be so nervous, and I'd be speaking in front of thousands of people, right?
Yeah.
And you can't go on stage and, shake and be all jittery, right? No matter how nervous you are, you just have to, like, put it aside and just, fake it, right?
And this is after doing it for
years. Yes, that's the thing. So people who are struggling with their confidence, I'm like, don't give up, just keep going, just keep pushing at it. Like, it's a muscle. The more, again, me and my fitness analogies.
No, it's all good.
It's a muscle that, the more you train it, the stronger
Yeah.
it gets. So even with your brain, right, all these habits, all these what you do automatically, it's all just something that you can work on and train. And so, yeah, with confidence, it's just do it as much as possible. Keep putting yourself out there, and it'll just become easier and easier and easier, to the point that now, like, I don't know, I'm so, like, I feel like I've completely shed my social anxiety. I can just go up to anyone, talk to anyone, like, just be myself completely. And if you don't
say
like
that
me,
on the podcast. We'll put you to a test. We'll
oh
put
no,
you to a test.
trust me. I like, my friends always give me dares because they know I'll pull through.
But like right now, do you think you've built just a group of friends? Because like you said, just growing up in entertainment and everything, you kind of like lose that kind of, I wouldn't say like your childhood has been robbed from you, but I can say definitely you miss out on that connection, because I'm guessing you had to prep for the TV show and everything.
Yeah.
When other kids are playing.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So yeah, I mean, so that way, like, I never had a Saturday or after school.
What?
It was
That's when kids are playing and everything.
But the thing was, I really enjoyed it.
Wait, isn't that like child labor?
No.
It's not?
Completely voluntary. I loved it. And then towards the end, we found hacks where I was able to film, like, a lot of episodes in a single day.
In
so
advance.
I would get some time off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like, so that's one thing as well about me, is I'm very, very, very productive.